you come from a champion's perspective, right? You guys went through this historic legal case that seemed insurmountable and came out on top. Did going through did that change your love of the music and the music business?
Didn't change the love of the music business at all. Um, it just lets you know how far I'll go to fight for the music business that I was part of. I am hip hop. Like I'm part of this culture. Like you cannot take me out of it. It's what it is. If you think of the era we come through, you know, there's always the pioneers and all hats off, no disrespect to them. But we was the generation that turned hip hop into the biggest business that you see it is today. And that's because of what we did. So I would never look at it in a negative way. What made me look at was all of these executives, how they carry out business. You got to remember, I didn't go to school. I didn't know corporate business. I learned on the job, if you understand, in the moment. And you learn from losing. You learn from people taking advantage. You learn from how they do their deals and it wasn't right. And you thought it was right at the time. But you got to, you know, as a grown man, you live with your mistakes and you keep moving. And that's something that I learned the hard way. You know, this is more than any Harvard education course you could imagine. That's my education in business. So when you talk that to me, it's like, I got it. And it doesn't take away what we went through. I look at just a few people um, that was part of that whole trial and what it was about and why we went through what we went through.
You know, it's clear being super successful, young, black, rich, you guys were targeted. And now we have a number of high profile cases in the culture, the indictments. What advice would you give those guys?
Man, I shout them out all the time. Like Lil Durk is going through it. Whew. I mean, you know, what Thugger went through. I wish them all the most success possible. But really, when I look back at myself and what they did and what they're going through, the main advice would be, see, we had the resources. They have the resources. And that's one of the main things the government does first. They want to take away your resources because then you can't protect yourself. There's a reason their 98% conviction rate is because everyone has to take a deal because they don't want to fight that 1,000-pound gorilla with unlimited funds to fight you. You know, it's just business. When you get into it, if you remove the personal part and it feels extremely personal, believe me, I understand that. I understand that. But it is their business. So they move very selective. They know exactly what they're doing. They're not playing any games in how they move. And with that said, you know, you have to fight back the best way you can. Like I investigated everyone that was on Murder Inc., around Murder Inc. at the time. I had private investigators and investigated to see if any of them were cooperating. And when I did that, 2 people were cooperating. But they weren't cooperating against me. They were cooperating on other cases that they had with other dudes. It wasn't against Murder Inc. So that, you know, what's that worth? What's that worth to know everyone around you is with you? You understand? That's worth a lot. It's priceless. That's a big fact. And that's one of the main things when I look at my trial, what I did. You know, I hired 2 private investigators. I told all my dudes, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get investigated. If you have a problem and don't do it, don't come back around. I don't even want to know. I'll find out when I find out. Everyone to a person took the private investigator meeting and spoke. A private investigator found 2 people, and I won't name them, but they were cooperating on other cases, not mine. Either way, I couldn't fuck with them no more because if you cooperate on one, you might cooperate on another. And I just left them alone. But that was a big deal for the case. So when you ask what would you do to advise them, I would tell them, like, when I think of Lil Durk and I hear, and I only know what I hear. I don't know the man personally. I just know I'm a big fan of his music, and he's an incredible, talented artist. All of that street stuff that you say that I don't know truth or not truth, and I'm very well connected inside of the Chicago area. End of the day, he needs to investigate everyone next to him first and foremost. If it's true that is one of his main people are right there, that's who's telling whatever, he only knows. My lawyer told me something I try to explain to anyone in these situations. He said, and his name is Gerald Shargell. He's not here with us no more, he passed. Best lawyer you could ever imagine. But he said, when I first got him, he said, Chris, you make the snowballs, I throw them. And I'm like, Jerry, what the fuck are you talking about, man? If you don't make some sense, like, and he explained to me, he said, the snowballs is the information. You have to give me the information. I wasn't with you when any of this took place. You have to tell me so I could use the law to protect you, to fight for you. Those are the snowballs I throw. You give me this information, that's you making the snowball, so I know how to protect you, and I got it. And you have to really have that relationship with your lawyer. So whoever your attorney is, you have to have that complete trust, if you understand. That client privilege, where if you tell them they can't tell, they can't say, they have to have that. And if you're gonna really fight against them without copping out to just take a deal and go the whole distance, you have to have that with your attorney, or else you're only making it harder for that chance to win happen.
Was there, last question about this, was there ever a time when you and Irv sat together and said, maybe we need to take this plea and just be done with this?
Never. They offered us 3 pleas. The first one, they broke the federal guidelines to get us to cooperate. We're facing 20, and they said a year apiece. And one goes first, then when he comes home, the other one could go. So we never stopped business. That was their first offer to us. The second offer was 6 months. The last offer was no jail time, 5-year probation. Now, most people would have took that and ran. I'm not most people. Irv is not most people. They wanted us to basically make up a story on Preem to just tell, so we could lock him up. And I said, I don't have a story to tell you. If he didn't do something, there's nothing to talk about. Let's go to trial. And my attorney stopped me, because when they said it, I said it a little more aggressive. I didn't say it just as nice as I said it. I said, will you tell them, let's fucking go to trial and stop, get us a date and stop this shit. And Jerry said, whoa, 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 whoa. And the prosecutors was a little like, whoa, like, you know, and he asked for a 5-minute recess so we could talk to me. And he went outside. When he talked to me, I said, Jerry, what do you want to talk about? He said, Chris, as much as I know you and your brother are not guilty, I can't be sure that in this Southern District that 12 people of your peers is gonna feel the same way. And you'll be fighting, I said, 20 years. He's like, you'll be inside for 20 years. Which I said to him, if that's what God has for me and my brother, then that's what it is. And let's go set the date and let's get started. And he looked at me, he said, amazing. He was amazed at my stance. And he was like, let's go. I said, you ready to fight? He said, I'm ready to fight. I said, well, then so am I. Let's go. And we went back in that room and we told him, set a date. I had to call my brother before we went in that room and let him know, because Irv wasn't that's motion hearings. I was at every motion hearing. That's the next biggest thing for you guys going through any trials, man. Go to your motion hearings. Don't let your lawyer say you don't have to do it. All inside of that motion hearings, you will hear all the evidence that's coming up that's going to be inside of the trial. You only know what's good and bad. Your lawyer, you tell him, but I sat there for every motion hearing, not Irv, me. And I had to call Irv to tell him, like, they gave us an offer, but we're setting the trial. He was like, cool, let's go. So, but go to those motion hearings. Like, to me, that's the secret sauce for everything, because that's when you know if you got a shot or not to beat the case. When you hear all the evidence they have and the things that the judge is going to allow or not allow. He might block stuff and say, no, well, I'm not letting that be part of the trial. And that's really what your lawyer has to fight for, to block things from being allowed inside of the case. Motion hearings, super important, man.